Ladies and gentlemen, spoiler alert. Those are the first words that I wanted to mention. Welcome to the Avengers Endgame spoiler review. Myself and Unlimited Magic are going to get nerdy and going to discuss this movie. We have seen it just a single time, so keep in mind if we forget certain things or don't remember precisely how they happened, it's just because we're coming off of one viewing, and I'm sure that we will have multiple viewings in the next couple of weeks. But Unlimited Magic, just like we started with the spoiler-free review, if you want to see that, by the way, check it out. We've got that available. If you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch that one or listen to that one instead. But for now, just like we started on that one, on the spoiler-free review, let's start the spoiler review with your impressions. Maybe something that you liked best, worst, whatever it is. Just go and spoiler away.
That's funny. All right, but just one thing before we get into
Oh
it.
my goodness.
I just want to let people know
That this is spoilers.
Well, yeah, that too. But when he says we've only viewed it one time, what he really means to say is we just got out of the movie theater
Yes.
about an hour ago.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Not
it's
even.
3 a.m. in the morning.
It's not even
Like,
been an hour. It's
it's
maybe
been
been like 40
minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, we like literally just saw it.
Yeah.
But also, just before I continue, spoiler alert. I think we're good with that, right? We don't,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
to keep doing that.
For sure.
All right. So as far as my thoughts on it, absolutely amazing. I'm just gonna sum up what I said quickly in the other video, but like
Okay.
absolutely amazing. I think it's the best Marvel film. I think the fact that like I'm not gonna lie, the 5-year time skip blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no way. Like these
Mm-hmm.
people are just gonna live with everyone dead? Like they're just
Yeah.
giving up?
Yeah.
I was like, what? But then, I mean, the time travel, when they introduced that, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of like, listen, time travel, not a fan. But they did it in an interesting way. I'm not going to lie. They definitely did it in an interesting way where they kind of like, they set up rules for it to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Where like, they were like, this has to go
Limits,
back in the
yes.
exact same spot.
Mhm.
This, you cannot talk to yourself, even though that just we just don't talk about them interacting with all of their parents and family members. We don't talk about that.
Yeah,
Don't
but
worry
they
about
didn't
that,
talk
I
to
guess.
themselves. So
Yeah, I guess as long as they don't tell them about the future.
Yeah.
Because I guess like the mother.
because to him he
Said,
might
"Hey,
just
don't
seem
tell
like a
me."
random guy, and that's it. Yeah, and the mother was the only one that was aware of like the fact that he was from the future. And by mother he means Thor's mother.
Well, hold on.
So wait, before
There's
we
a
even
reason
move,
why.
before we even move on to that, or like
Yeah,
I'll let you. Okay. Finish your
point is,
point. Yeah,
there's a lot.
finish your
The
point.
point is, there's a lot. I loved it. I want to get into nitty gritty. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. First question, the most important question. Did you cry?
Mm-hmm. I came close. I didn't cry. But I
Okay.
came very
What
close.
section made you cry? Or sections, maybe.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. With all of the up and down with my emotions, like I literally would be like, one time I'm like intimately looking at this. Well, obviously, I'm like watching the screen, and I'm just like looking at every detail on the picture on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak. I'm just
Yeah, it's all good.
insane
Brain
because of this
scramble.
movie.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm just like looking at everything. I'm taking in every detail, trying like because it's like a serious scene, and I want to like I'm there. I'm there in the moment.
Yes.
And then 3 minutes later, they make me laugh. Like they don't just make me like chuckle, dude. They'll have a joke that'll make me like they'll get the entire auditorium laughing.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the amount of times I love that about these movies is that you'll have an entire auditorium have a reaction, or there might be a split reaction, and you'll see that. And I love seeing that about these about the diehard fans of these of the MCU. Like,
yes.
that was probably
it's definitely a
added to the
special
experience.
This is why I would recommend for you, if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, go as fast as you can because you want to go with that audience. It's almost like that audience makes the movie from like a 10 to like an 11 out of 10. Like they just crank it up a notch because you're just surrounded by everybody else who loves this stuff just as much as you.
Exactly.
And they give it this like extra energy, whether it be when Stan Lee comes on the screen, whether it be when Captain America gets a hold of Mjolnir and he's swinging it around, and the
dude.
entire theater popped for that. Like it was like
Yes, dude.
if you watch
Sorry.
wrestling, when like some big guy comes out and like that's really popular, and you have that like visceral like a burst of energy, that's what happened during those scenes.
Uh, Dude, it wasn't just no, but it's like I think that even does it like an injustice. Like
Yeah.
I swear it wasn't because it wasn't like subtle.
Yes, it
It
was
was
not for sure.
instant.
Yeah.
Like they could not make that subtle. They had to make it instant. And the fact that it was instant and how quickly people had caught on,
Yes, it was.
dude, I flew out of I stood up for that. I
And then
literally stood up for that part.
And then the beating that he hands Thanos with
Oh
that
my god.
hammer. And then, of course,
Oh,
again, they wrap it up, like you said, with the joke afterwards where they exchanged the Mjolnir and the Stormbreaker
yo, oh my
between
god, dude.
Cap and Thor. And Thor goes like,
Yo,
you get the little one.
no,
Give me the big
yeah,
one
yeah, you
back.
give me that. Give me
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. You can keep the little one. It's just
uh,
honestly um, insane. To
but
watch
come
it with
on,
that
hold on.
audience, you have to. Now, as far as whether or not I cried, yes, I teared up. The one scene that got me was the passing,
Okay.
spoiler alert, of Tony Stark. Um, I
Yeah.
and it's interesting because throughout most of it, I was able to do that thing of like where you're kind of biting the inside of your lip and you're like, yeah, I'm not crying. Pfft, they're not gonna get me. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. I'm not crying.
Uh-huh.
But then when Happy Hogan sits down with his daughter, with Tony's
Daughter,
daughter,
yeah.
and he asks her, "Are you okay, kiddo?" And then when he asks her, "What do you want?" And if you're a fan of the MCU, you know that when Tony Stark comes back from a where was it, Afghanistan or Iraq? I'm not sure. I don't remember. In the first Iron Man movie, when he's held captive and he comes back to the United States, the very first thing that Happy Hogan asks him is, "What do you want?" And he says, "An American cheeseburger." And when his daughter says that too, it's just it was like such a
Yeah, no, it's just something like
it's like
there's just no words for that type of
yes,
connection, you
because it
know?
was like as somebody who invested since 2008 into this world, you could I just felt like wow, like that's what they paid attention to. That's what the
So
Russo brothers were like, oh, we need to add this one little line who by many people might just be unnoticed, and it might be just a sweet moment between Happy Hogan and the daughter. But if you're a fan of the MCU, you remember that scene and you remember the significance of why she says cheeseburgers and why she says cheeseburgers to specifically Happy Hogan, and the way he reacts and the way he played it. It was just so well done. Of course, up to that moment, everything was incredibly emotional as it is, whether it be the fact that we hear Tony in the first Iron Man movie say, "I am Iron Man," and then that's his kind of exit line in this movie before he snaps his fingers to get rid of Thanos and his army. It was just from that moment when Captain America restraps the shield after he gets his butt kicked by Thanos and half his shield is broken. He restraps the shield and stands up. Then we see all of the other Avengers and all of the Wakanda soldiers and the Sorcerer Supreme spellcasters come through, which was another massive giant pop from everybody, especially when Spider-Man flew in. This person next to me, I thought she was going to have a heart attack. It was it was absolutely from that moment until the passing of Tony, it was masterful. That was probably the best whatever amount of time it was, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't know, whatever it was the best minutes of any MCU movie I've ever seen.
I agree. I think, there was that scene with Infinity War with the army. They
Yes.
were just like, how could we make this scene better? And they were just
They
like,
couldn't.
what
That's
if we
the
get
problem.
every single character ever?
Yeah, but did you see legitimately going into it? I was like, "There's no."
Right?
Here's my honest opinion. When I went into this movie, I was very concerned how it's gonna go, and I felt like they could have done the very cheap thing of like even what you mentioned with the time travel. I thought they could have gone like, "Oh, time travel. There you go. We can just time travel back, unsnap
Yeah.
it all, and that's it." Or like just defeat Thanos before he gets the gauntlet done. And the fact that this movie was so clever about it, so not lazy about just coming up
Oh,
with its own
yeah.
rules and like how it would work, and then somehow again, I've only seen it once. I do need to watch it again before I can for sure say this. But right
Dude,
now, my gut feeling
Nebula.
is that it's just a better movie than Infinity War, which is something I never would have thought I would be saying right now. Genuinely. Because I just
We
didn't
were
think it was
worried about
possible.
that.
Yes.
We were worried that it wasn't gonna be better than Infinity War because Infinity War was just such a ridiculous standard that they set,
Yes.
and then they just blew it out of the water.
It's just insane. And you're
I
right.
think,
The Nebula twist was such a
dude,
good
I'm
idea.
just gonna yeah, that's the thing with Nebula. I was shocked. I was like, when I first saw that, I was like, no way.
It was
This
so
actually, like,
clever.
because she's a robot. Because
Yeah.
she's a robot.
Yeah. So it
And
would be
I
just
was,
like in the
that's
cloud or
insane.
whatever.
But quickly, back to the other thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
The when you were talking about the small details,
Yes.
the thing about the MCU, and this goes for a lot of other movies, more towards like phase 3 stuff.
Yes.
They do always put these tiny details, whether it's in the dialogue or whether it's like a picture or something. They always, like, throughout this movie, I can't remember every single one, or really any of them right now because there's so much going through my head.
Yes.
But there's like, if you watch the movie, and if I watched it again, I'd be able to point all of them out. There's little details that they put, that they planted the seed of that joke in this movie,
Yeah.
in like Spider-Man.
Captain America in
Dude,
the elevator going, "Hail Hydra."
yeah, Hail Hydra, dude. I died. I was dying.
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing.
Captain
And
America
then,
versus Captain America. I can do this all day. Yeah, I know.
yeah, I know. When Spider-Man did the instant kill,
Yeah,
and then
instant
he just
kill
started
activate.
poking
Yes.
everybody, I
Yeah.
was dying.
Yeah.
That was, oh my goodness, dude. I was just like, there's a lot of things in that movie that you just get such you feel rewarded
Yes.
for watching over the
Exactly.
10 years.
Yes.
You feel rewarded beyond belief.
Yeah.
You see every character shine
It's like-
somehow.
it's
Let's
like-
not even get into that.
It's like if you went to study in med school for 10 years and then you graduate and you become like the head surgeon. It's that kind of like
yeah,
it's type satisfaction. Or you studied for 10 years to become a lawyer and you finally are done and you're getting your degree and now like you get to go practice law. It's that good in the sense that they were super uber duper smart about making sure
patient.
that if you invested in this world, it didn't just feel like a, hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. Well, bye. Like they were so intricate about every little thing. And the fact that this movie goes back into other movies and it all somehow makes sense. Like it still does not fall apart. Plus we get to see even things that we didn't see in those movies where it adds and like makes those movies better.
And from different angles.
Yes.
So we got to see the first Avengers, remember when the rotation around them?
Yes.
Remember the camera scene?
Yeah.
That was epic. Like, I just seen that again, though. Like in Avengers 4, we get a flashback to Avengers 1.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, dude, look at this.
Or
they
that
were dealing
Loki
with the
scene.
Chitauri, like little, like this was nothing.
Yes, or the Loki scene, like the fact that we get to see that entire scene of them finally stopping Loki from behind them, like from a completely different perspective, and it still
I do have
makes
an
sense.
issue, though.
Okay,
there is one issue.
Go. Hit me with it.
The problem I'm currently seeing, though, is Loki and the Tesseract.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about, because I was like, I'm curious to hear what do you think about that, as far as like what do you think that's going to be their loophole to keep him alive? Because they needed to come up with a way to keep him alive, and I guess that does
keep him
it.
alive. Yeah, sure, it does, I guess, but at the same time, this is the thing. They said that their reality, like if they go back in time, it doesn't change what's happening in their future.
Yes.
Like it's a branching of that reality.
Yeah.
It's like it goes a different path.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing with this is that they did return back. They didn't go back to the future. They didn't go back to the future. They decided to go further back in time.
Yes.
So it wasn't that they corrected it at all. They just
took it from a different time frame.
Yeah. What it seemed like is that's another path
Mm-hmm.
where it's just not nearly as dangerous as like them not being able to get the Tesseract.
Yeah, well, because they also needed to come up with a way to refuel their
But
suits.
and the refueling of the suit, so it worked in that way. But the thing is, I don't see, back to what you said about them bringing him back.
Mm-hmm.
How?
I mean, they could get around it in terms of like, say, because the stone that he has is the one that allows you to like teleport through places.
Yeah, well, that's how he got
So
around. Like, right? 'Cause he was
maybe,
in chains.
maybe he was on the ship, on Thanos' ship, or maybe because he's aware of Thanos at that point already, because he's working with Thanos for the Chitauri. Like Thanos gives him the Chitauri soldiers.
That's true. Yeah,
So
that's
maybe he
true.
teleports. Like, where did he teleport himself back to? Right.
It
So
could have been on Thanos' ship, but then geez, he might have been dead from all the fighting.
yeah, I mean, for all we know, he could have been somebody on
Could have been erased
Asgard.
though.
He could have been
But
somebody like, we don't know exactly where he went because again, once he's disappeared, he could have been shape shifting, right? So maybe he was somebody else that we didn't even see. So
I feel like that's a lazy way of
I
approaching
I
it,
agree.
though.
I agree. Because to me,
I just think that it'd be better if he doesn't come back. Like the
I
same way
agree.
that like Widow's not coming back,
This is
Stark's not coming back.
which
Like
we
we
need to
know that
talk
these
about as well.
characters are not. Yeah,
Yes.
we know that these characters are not coming back,
Yeah. But you
and we
see,
know that there's another generation.
yes, but you see, this was
coming.
my concern going into this movie is that I was worried that everything that happened in Infinity War is like undone, right? Like
I have a
I was
question for
worried
you.
that they
Big
were gonna
question
just
for you.
undo everything. But what I'm
Mhm.
glad is, and even though they did undo Gamora, which is kind of lame in my opinion, but even
Not fully.
yeah, they didn't undo it fully. I agree, but what I mean is, and it's nice because it sets up a cool storyline for Guardians 3. So I get
Yep.
it. I think that that's cool. But I just
Yep.
think that again, I hope that Gamora was the one exception. I hope that they don't now going into the future figure
I
out
hope they don't make
other
a habit
ways
of it.
to be like,
Yeah.
oh, let's bring back Black Widow or let's bring back Heimdall, or Loki. Like those characters died, even not at the hands of like the Snap or the hands of like Thanos.
Well,
I mean,
you
they
see,
did,
this is
but
the
like
thing.
not.
Well, when Banner was trying to snap, he said
Yeah.
he was trying to bring her back.
Yeah.
So this is the thing: if the Infinity Stones can't bring him back, they're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah,
The
because
Infinity Stones created the universe. Okay,
yeah.
they're
So
dead.
to me,
It's
I think
not happening.
yeah, I think Vision, Black Widow, Tony,
Yep.
Heimdall,
I mean, Cap technically because he's just
Loki,
80,
um,
like actually 80.
well, yeah, I
I
guess,
mean, he's like no, he's gone. Like he's not coming back.
yeah.
So
And
he basically might as well be dead.
now here's my question for you. Okay, wait. First, I guess you
okay,
ask your
I had a
question.
question
Yeah,
for you. I
ask
had a
your
question
question
for you.
first, and then I'll ask the Captain America question.
So
Go ahead.
I actually asked this to my friend on the way back.
Yeah.
I asked, and I know for you it's different
Yeah.
because you're a bit more of a fan.
Yeah.
But are you planning to watch any more MCU films?
Ooh, that's a good question. You see, what's weird is that I agree with you 100% that it felt like the end of the MCU. Like because
Yeah.
it put such a neat bow on everything
Bow.
to where I'm
Mhm.
almost like, that's it. I'm happy,
I don't want to see anymore. Like
yeah,
I'm good.
The weird thing is that I think I will still watch like just cause,
Yeah,
whether
I
it
think
be
I will too.
for YouTube
But
or
I don't
whatever
think
it
it's
is.
ever gonna have the
But-
same level of excitement or
I-
hype.
and
for me
I don't
ever.
think that I'm ever gonna look anything that comes past this movie is not part of the MCU to me. It's just Marvel movies,
Yeah.
but they're not Marvel
Yeah.
Cinematic Universe because that was like a thing of its own, and it will never be done again.
And yeah,
ever.
But you see, the difference I think is the reason we have such different ways of thinking about it. I think is mainly because, like, when it was coming out, like when Iron Man was coming out, this was I don't think like this was planned.
There was
you
no
know?
hype, dude. I remember watching Iron
Exactly.
Man 2008, and I had to convince my friends in high school to go watch it because they were so like, "Dude, it's so stupid.
Who
What
the
is he
hell
like?
is- yeah.
He's made out of tin. Like, what a dumb
Tin.
idea. Might as well be Wizard of Oz." And I remember when we went to actually watch the movie on the like Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. They kept saying.
No. But I mean, it's just when you think about it now.
Yeah,
It's like, what
and
is
then
that
when we went
comparison?
to watch it the day that it came out, like on that Friday, there was
Yeah.
almost nobody in that movie theater. Like it was like maybe 15 to 20 of us. And then after
But that's
that,
the difference. But that's the difference. You build because you
yes.
don't. When the first Avengers came out, Avengers 4. I mean, they might have planned it, but like that's insane. Like that's still what was when was Avengers 1 2012? Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
2012 was Avengers 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was still 7 years away from an Endgame. I
Yep.
don't think they were quite planning that.
I don't think so
But
either.
like when they're building the movies from back then, it was like, oh, let's build one. Okay, we're building one on top of that, two on top, another one on that, and then another, and then another. Now it's like we have everything established. We have characters. Like we still have we still have oh my god, why am I
Who?
Black Panther, right?
Black
There you
Panther.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
We still have the new Captain America. We still have Bucky. We still have all of the other characters of the cast that we know and we've seen.
There's no Iron Man. That's it.
But
That's the one.
but that's the problem.
He was the
But no,
linchpin. He was the linchpin of that
there's
world.
but there's no Iron Man. There's no Cap. There's no Thor. There's no
Well, there's Thor.
I mean Hulk's out of action. Like he'll be the brains now because he can he's
Yeah, Professor Hulk.
together,
Yeah.
Professor Hulk. But like Thor is not really going to be around. Like it seems kind of like he doesn't want to necessarily fight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of wants to live and just experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it looks like basically the original cast is gone completely. Like they might cameo or do things here, but it doesn't seem like they're moving forward with them.
Here's what I will say. I think that it's going to be a long time before we see another Avengers movie. And if they do one
You think
soon,
there's another one?
I think there will be another one. I think there's just too much money to be made. But I think if there will be another one, I think they have to be so careful about how they do it, because it will have to be something very, 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 very special to bring all of these characters back together, make it all work. And again, I'm not saying that it's impossible, because they did Infinity War and then they did this movie. And the fact that they did that twice, now I can't doubt them.
That means they can do anything.
Yes,
yeah.
I can't doubt them because they've proven themselves. So it's like there's nothing here there's nothing here to be fair with criticism, because look, they've proven themselves twice. It's not a fluke anymore. But I do agree with you that personally for me, this truly is the end game in terms of everything that comes after this. I'm not looking at it as it's a cohesive thing where they're all interconnected and everything like that. I'm looking at them as standalone movies. I don't need them to all make sense anymore together. This is it. This is the bow. Yep. I was invested in Tony Stark. There's a reason why Iron Man is my favorite MCU movie. Even after Infinity War, it was my favorite movie. It'll probably remain my favorite MCU movie forever, just because that movie started it all, and it has a special spot in my heart for that. So to me, he was the linchpin of this world. And yes, you can pass the torch and all that, and that's great. But to me, he was
it's not the same.
Yeah, without him, that's it. Like now I'm fine. Like I'm still going to enjoy these movies. I'm sure they're still going to be fantastic. And I hope they are. But you are absolutely right that this is it. Like there's going to be a before and after this movie.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean, I'm
crazy.
looking forward to the next Spider-Man because I just like Spider-Man as a character. I'd have to say he's definitely one of my more favorite characters.
Yes.
So I'm definitely excited, and I love the actor. Like Tom Holland's fantastic at that character. So I'm definitely gonna watch that, and I want to see what they do. Like I want to know what direction they're gonna go in, because it's like I feel like there has to be a break between now and the next movie. Like I know that they're doing this one, and then
Far From Home is in a few months. Yeah, and then they're filming Black Widow this summer. They're filming it in June.
But I know that they're doing a break. Like they said that they're not doing any more movies and that they're taking a break. Like that's what I read.
I mean, look, to be fair,
what I want. I don't want them to come back anytime soon. I want
to be fair,
I want at least a year.
Yeah, to be fair, look, they do have the X-Men now. They have the Fantastic Four. So it's like, we could be eating our words, because in the span of, give it another, let's say they do a year break in 2020, right? And then after that,
so 2030-ish.
Yeah, they come back. No, not 10 years break. They're not doing a 10-year break. That's not happening.
No, I'm saying for them to build up to like a movie of this
Oh
hype with
yeah,
all
yeah,
the other
yeah,
characters.
yeah, yeah. They could definitely. I don't even think it'll be that long. I think like 2025, they could come out with Avengers 5, and it will include X-Men or
Yeah, way
Fantastic
more
Four, and
characters.
so on and
Yeah,
so forth. And look, if they cast
5 hour
those
movie, guys.
characters well and they do a good job with building them out and making us care about all of them as much as we all cared about Tony and Cap and the original six. Um,
Hmm.
then more power to them. I hope that's the case. I mean, I'm a fan of this universe, so I would love to be right back in. I would love to say a year from now or whatever it is when we found out what phase 4 or 5 of, are we in 4? I think we're phase 4, right?
I think 4 now. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we're going through phase 4 and we know like okay, there's Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2, we know kind of like a concrete announcement and not rumors, and we see like the actual slate and we're like, "Oh, okay, this is what they're going with." And then we see those movies and they work and they build up. I would love to say that I'm in and this is phase 2 of the MCU as a whole, because like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is the wrap up. Um
Yeah,
like this
yeah.
is
I
almost
can't.
like this is the Tony era. Like the Tony era is
Yeah,
over. Now we
exactly,
move on to something
exactly.
else. I don't know whose era it's going to be. Of course,
Yeah.
there's lots of rumors about who's next and blah 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 blah. But to me, um, this is the Tony era. Now, to my question about Captain America, from my understanding, right? The way I looked at it is that the Captain America that returns in Avengers at the end of the movie
Hmm.
is just the Captain America from that timeline. It's not the same Cap that left, right? Because that Cap is staying there and he's dancing with Peggy Carter.
So the way I had understood it was that he decided. So he put all the stones back and he put Mjolnir back, and
Yes.
so he was good. Reality was good. No branching paths were
Mm-hmm.
set. No consequences on that end, as far
Yes.
as I've understood that.
Yes.
But then he decided, hey, we're not. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna go back. I'm gonna go there. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say he had at that point. What was the okay? Let's
But
say
why
he's
did
in
he age so much?
because no, but what I'm trying to say is at that point when he's dancing with
Yeah.
what's her name
Peggy
with her,
Carter. That was
yeah, Peggy.
1970s.
Yeah, but he was like superhuman strength, right? He's superhuman.
Well,
He could
he's
probably live
superhuman in
longer.
general, so yeah, he lives
He
longer.
could live longer, meaning he was what 70 already because of the ice and everything,
Oh
right?
yeah, he was like 100
So he
something.
just yeah. But what I'm saying is, if he just kept living from there onwards,
Mm-hmm. So you
he
think
would have
that's
been
actually the
80.
same Cap? The one.
How could it be the Cap from that timeline? Because this timeline that we were watching is the one that was the time traveling. That's where all the time traveling was. So it couldn't have been the Cap from that era because the one that from that era
Yeah, but Captain
was
America
the
runs
one that
into
went back in time.
himself in the Avengers, right? When they travel to
Sorry.
2012, he meets himself. He fights himself.
And then but then they go back into the past and then they go back to the
Yeah,
future.
but
And
in
then
that
that Cap
past,
still
in that
stays in Avengers 1 though.
no,
It's still there. He's just knocked out.
oh yeah, but he's frozen in ice at that point as well. So yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. So
Because in 1970
like
he's frozen already. Because he gets
so this is
frozen in 1945, right around World War II. That's when he gets frozen.
it's yeah, it has to be after World War II. So it
Yeah,
has to be like
yeah, because it's 19.
1960s,
No, no, no. They say
maybe even a bit more.
1970s. They travel.
Oh, I
No,
didn't
they
even
travel.
see that.
It
I
said
totally
1970.
must have missed that.
Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, never mind. Yep,
so
yep, yep, yeah. It all makes sense now. So it
so
is
then
him.
it
Wow, that's
the only
weird
thing that
though.
doesn't
But
make
I don't
sense is
understand.
that
Yeah, because I
yeah,
thought he
the
doesn't
only thing is
age
he'd have
like
to
a
come
human.
back. He because of the way time would work, they would be both moving as far as I would understand. I'm not an expert or anything, but like they'd be moving at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like time does it's not just going to stop for one
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
So if he was whatever age he was, whatever living, when he lived up until that point of 20 what was it 24 2024 then everybody else would already be however many years in the future as well, no? So unless Cap came back to the future? Like, do you like this is where the time travel kind of gets like complicated
Yeah, with the
because
Cap thing, the only thing, honestly, to me is very confusing is that why did he just suddenly start like rapidly aging? That's the one thing where I'm like a little bit confused. Do you
well,
know what
he
I mean?
lived his life, like that was the idea, and
Yeah,
then
I
he
know,
came
but
back
even if he
from what
did
I
live his life, so then he lived another 50, whatever it is, like 54
yeah.
years, right?
Well,
For, let's say
remember
it was
what Banner said,
1970.
like, oh, for you it'll be like 20 minutes or whatever, an
Yeah,
hour. For us, it'll be 5 seconds.
yeah,
It's like that's time travel. Welcome, science.
yeah. That's fair, I
Like
guess.
that makes
I
sense
just
if
don't
you
understand
break that down.
why he ages so much all of a sudden. Because I thought because he has the super serum, he just like ages super duper slow. Because that's what they usually do in the comics, right? Like in the comics, Captain America is like 200
He
years old, but it's
again,
like
but this is the thing. If he went into that timeline, he could have lived from 1970 to 2050, let's say, okay? And then he could have just went back in time to the point of where the Avengers had just beaten Thanos and everything was great,
oh, so
and
you
sat
think
on
he's
that
like lived
bench.
even longer?
Well, why not? Time travel works that way. He could live 100 years and come back to the same point exactly if they can
Uh,
pinpoint it.
Fair
That's how
enough.
they got to all the other spots. Like that's what that like. This is the problem. I've seen too many
Yeah, but
shows
the
use
problem
time
is that,
travel.
like, again, the issue that you're bringing up that is correct is like, but what happens to that timeline as far as like once they get to Thanos? Like, Thanos is still happening in that timeline, right? So, what happened with
Well,
Thanos? Like,
technically,
how did he
no.
defeat him?
Who?
Captain America.
In which one? The original one? The
No,
original
so
timeline?
he returns into the original, into the past, right?
Oh, I see what you
And
mean.
he puts all the stones back. Thanos still happens. He doesn't just like not happen now, right?
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Because Thanos does happen because he went back to the past, which means that Thanos wasn't dead. And if he goes back to the past, that means it opens up a branching path, which means that
Unless if
Thanos
I
could still
guess
be alive.
because Tony deletes him with the snap, so then I guess maybe Thanos doesn't happen. But again, Thanos gets deleted from 2014, which means that the Chitauri invasion still happens in 2012. This is
Yeah,
where it
like I
gets
said, I don't like time
complicated.
travel. Like
Yeah,
I don't like when time travel's
yeah,
introduced because we don't actually know what it means. Like
yes,
we
yeah.
can't time travel. We don't know what the rules are.
Well, we
I mean,
know
I like
some of
that
the
they set
rules
it
here,
up.
but I just again, I almost honestly, when we see the bench scene, I genuinely thought that it was Black Widow for a second. I was like, oh, he brought her, like he swapped with her. When he was swapping out the Soul Stone, he sacrificed himself, and then she came back. That's what I
Oh, that
thought
would have
he
been
did.
interesting. That would have
Which
been really
which
interesting.
I think would have been a cool way to go about things
Way
because
better to
that
get her
way
back
you
huh,
kill Cap, you kill Tony, like which is what they kind of wanted to
what they
accomplish in
wanted to
terms of
do
like
anyways.
to get
Yeah.
them out of the movies.
And
So
then you could have still established Banner and Widow
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
That could have been a storyline.
yeah,
And
and
then you have her prequel coming out, so then you could definitely do a future like if that's popular
yeah,
or
and
big.
it would be cool that she brings the shield back to him, and she says that Cap said to bring this back to you.
Oh yeah, that
You
could have
know,
been nice too.
so
Yeah,
it's like
that scene definitely confused me. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
That's
Now that I think about it, it is a little confusing as like as far as like how it all works because that's why I thought for a second that it was like a different oh my gosh what's
Captain.
Steve Rogers came
Steve
back.
Rogers. Yeah.
So it's like Steve Rogers from that time is the one that like came back because he aged
You know.
regularly. Do you know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
aged like a human, so that's why he's the one that came back.
You know. How about we just say after everything that they've done, we
Yeah.
give them one mulligan and just
Yes,
not
we
worry
do.
about it
Yeah.
because it's at the end of the movie and
Yes.
it really does not matter.
Yes. And it was incredibly smart for them to
Yes.
wrap on that because I feel like if they ended on Tony, as much as that would have been impactful, I think people would have been coming out of the theater sad. Whereas
Yeah,
seeing
instead of
Cap
like
finally like
pass the
get
baton.
not just pass the baton, but get like because it ends on the kiss between him and Peggy Carter.
Oh, like he actually gets happy.
He
Like, he's
gets
satisfied.
yes for the very first time like Captain America. He's only had one love his whole
He's-
life.
I
Ever.
think it's the fact that he also gave up everything and he's never ever thought twice about giving up for someone else.
Yes.
And he finally received it himself.
Yes.
Something. Just
Yes.
one little thing.
And I think that that was definitely a really, really cool way to end off. Now, Black Widow, what do you think about that? Were you surprised by how that went down? Because as soon as they
So
arrived at whatever it was, Voromir or
yeah,
whatever
I
that
knew right
planet is, I
away.
was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
one of
knew
them
as
is
soon as they
dying.
went, there's like someone is dying. Yeah, I was like, which one though?
Yeah.
I
And they
as
did it
soon
really
as they
well, right? Like
yeah,
the going back and forth
100%.
between the two of them.
But I knew he wasn't gonna die. Like
I
I knew
I
from the
thought
start he
so
wasn't gonna
too. I
die.
thought
I
so
knew
too
right
because I
away.
was like, he was. That's how the movie opens. Like we have to see him reunite with his family. I was like, that would be
Like that, yeah,
so brutal for them to do all this, and then at the end, we never see that like the reunion between him and
yeah,
Laura, and I'm like,
yeah.
you can't do that to us. You know what I mean? Like that would be crazy. But then I was also like, but that would be pretty powerful. Like if they,
Like
like
yeah,
set that up like that, and then it's Black Widow going back to the family and everything. Like that would have been
yeah.
pretty
That
powerful
would have
too.
been
But
yeah. But I feel like but they were planning to do Tony no matter what. So if they
yeah,
did that too, like at the end,
yeah, it would have been too
like
much. It
dude,
would have been too
oh,
much.
that would have just destroyed me.
Yeah, that would have been too much. You're
Like
right.
I think the fact that like the way I think they did it perfectly almost like in the way they spaced out every event that was
Yeah,
like really like
hard.
tightening and
Yeah,
like heart like it was just like oh my goodness like you would go into one you would feel that you would be like on like I don't even know it would last like 10, 15, 20 minutes on that like they dedicate like a good amount of time to that scene
yeah.
right
And we
like they were
also
fighting
like
back and
like
forth
even in those moments, like what's fascinating is how well they do at planting even little seeds there. Like she finds out the name of her father. Like
yeah
it's little things like that because that will definitely play a factor in the Black Widow movie. Now because now we know his name and it's like there's just little moments like that where it's like they planted there because they know what's coming next. Even though this is Endgame and they wrapped everything up where it made sense, they still were like, yeah, but we're also going to throw a little bit of things to
because we know we're
foreshadow
doing this
because we
movie
know,
and that
yeah,
movie.
yeah, because they like even with the end scene when Thor gives off the kingship to Valkyrie to become the queen of Asgard, and he joins
Mhm.
the Guardians or Asgardians of the Galaxy, which was really clever. Actually, I was like, that's a
I
cheesy
like
joke.
that. I
Uh,
like
but right
that.
before he walks onto the ship, you see what do you see? You see Peter Quill staring at a screen that says "searching" and
Yeah,
Gamora's
yeah, yeah.
picture, right? So it's like
Mhm.
it that already tells you what is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 going to be about. They're searching for
Searching for
Gamora,
Gamora.
and then he needs to try to try to have her return to the team with the help of the God of Thunder.
Wait, you think Gamora's back?
What do you mean? She's definitely back. What do you mean she's back?
Oh, right, yeah, the snap. Well, I thought Gamora died. I thought Thanos threw her and killed her. Like that way. Like I thought she was dead
No.
because it was a physical death.
No.
Yeah, that's not. No, that's not really
She's
Gamora. Like yes, but like
she needs Star-Lord in the nuts. Don't you remember?
yeah, but that's not. That's not the. Yeah, but she's not in love with him.
Yeah, but when Nebula, when after she needs him in the nuts, and which
Hmm.
also was, by the way, hilarious.
Yeah, I know, I know,
You
I
only
know.
got one on the first shot, but then you got both on the second.
Yeah.
uh, when
Like this is yeah, like she knows she's the one who falls for him.
Nebula, yeah, Nebula tells him he's the one, and she's like, "Really? This is the one?" And then she says, "Yeah, it was between him and a
So you
tree.
think
Remember?"
yeah. But do you think that they're gonna spend
I
so
think
wait,
that's
so
the
then why
third
is he
movie. I
searching?
think the
Why is he
third
searching?
movie. I think the third movie is to try to find her because he believe this is his only way to have a Gamora in his life is to because this is still like look she still turns
Wait. I'm
good.
clearly forgetting something. Wait, I'm clearly forgetting something.
Yeah,
What happened to her at the end of the movie? I thought she was on that ship.
on which ship?
Wait, was Gamora not
She wasn't with them.
wait,
Literally,
what
as
happened?
Thor walks up onto the ship,
Mm-hmm.
she's just like run away. It's kind of like what happens to the Hulk. Remember after Age of Ultron, where he like flies off on his own, sort of thing. Like as Thor walks onto the ship. With
Mm-hmm.
Rocket, you see that
Yeah.
Drax is there, Groot is there, Rocket is there, Thor is there, Nebula is there. But then right before, like as he walks up to him and like they do the swipe screen thing where they're like fighting over
Yeah.
who's the leader, it's
Mm-hmm.
on the screen. It says searching, and then there's a picture of Gamora.
Okay, so I mean, I guess I didn't think about that right away at the moment, but I
Yeah,
guess she did run away.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Why?
Because she's just not comfortable with them yet. Because
I guess.
In
Yeah,
her
right. Because
timeline, she
they,
comes from the time when
yeah,
she was still just working for Thanos. So she just turned like good again. You know, she didn't go through
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 or 2.
They met in the prison, right? Like
Yeah.
that was the original first place.
Yeah.
So they
Well,
never, they
no.
didn't have.
No. They meet on the planet when
Well,
her
I mean, like when they bonded, like
yeah,
they
they
actually
bonded
started.
on the they bonded in
Yeah,
person. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
she's
yeah,
never
you're
had any
right.
of that.
She
Yeah.
doesn't have the memories,
Yeah.
right?
So it's going to be probably Adam Warlock as the bad guy and her as like the
Ooh.
one that they're chasing. So,
Yo, I actually might let. I think Guardians 3 might be better than 2, depending on how they handle it.
yeah.
But that's a
So
different
but
discussion.
it's fascinating that again, they set that up, right? They set
Dude,
up
it's never end game for them. It's never end game
yeah,
for them.
they set up a new Captain America with Sam Wilson, which was accurate to the comics. So that's cool.
I thought it was Bucky who becomes the next
Well,
Cap.
Bucky does become Cap as well in the comics before Sam
Okay.
does, but they
Yes,
went
that's
ahead
what
with
I
Sam.
thought he was gonna
Yeah,
be next. Yeah.
yeah. But I like that
Like
scene, like where Bucky kind of looks at him and kind of gives him the nod, like, "Yeah, you deserve it.
like
Like,
it's
you go
you,
ahead."
yeah.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
really cool too. So, I think that was pretty interesting. And then, just in general, like everything
What
else,
do you
like
think about
everybody else,
Fat Thor?
I thought that was hilarious. I thought
I thought that was amazing.
that was
The smartest move.
genius because it gave us a completely different personality for him, and the fact that he has like a panic attack and just all these
Like
things
the
that
trauma from all of that stuff.
yeah, it's just fascinating to see like a character that's supposed to be this like god of thunder
The
who's
strongest
never,
one.
never broken by anything, be so incredibly vulnerable and flawed. It was like
Yeah.
perfect. You know what I mean? Like he's a coward at times. He's and more importantly, it also like he looked like a complete badass with the beard like at the end when he has the beard and the
With the,
cape. I don't know where the cape comes from. That made no sense. Like or how he gets an
what about
outfit
the
all of a
eyes
sudden.
though?
What do you mean?
When he saw Thanos
Yeah.
and then like sitting there, his eyes
Yeah.
with the lightning and
Oh yeah.
everything. Oh my god.
That's fine. He's done that before. He did that in Infinity War.
I know. I'm saying that. No,
Oh
but
yeah,
I'm just saying like
dude.
it was almost one of those things where
Also,
like you saw him
dude,
fat.
the fact that we brushed over, he beheads Thanos.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that too. I forgot
Dude,
about
I
that.
was so shocked when that happened. I was like, wait,
Me
where the
too.
hell are they gonna go to now? Because it's like
Yeah.
Thanos is dead. Like the Infinity
Yeah,
Stones are gone, and
I
they
was like,
just killed
okay,
him.
they chopped his arm off, so it's like, okay, whatever. He can't use the gauntlet.
Which, by
Whatever.
the way, was
And then he just
genius because
sliced his head off.
it was genius because you just think like, why didn't they just do that in Infinity War? Like, why didn't he just instead of when he says aim for the head, aim for the arm?
Yeah, cut it off.
Yeah,
He can't wear the gauntlet on the other arm. That's not
yeah.
how arms work.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like it was kind of a
Yeah.
genius solution to like how do you defeat Thanos with like the gauntlet issue, but
Well, I mean, he has the armor, right? Like
yeah.
So because there on that planet he didn't have the armor, but in Infinity War he has the armor.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, he
So
doesn't.
that's the only
No,
difference.
he doesn't. He takes it off. Remember after he fights Hulk or like as he fights
You're
Hulk?
right. You're right.
Yeah.
I think the difference might have been that he's just weaker because remember
Well, yeah,
we
he's
saw
hurt.
him, it was
Yeah, he's
basically like
definitely hurt.
destroyed.
Yeah, cuz
Hurt, I think, is an understatement.
Yeah.
He got destroyed by the Infinity Stones.
yeah.
Thanos.
It was also so
Thanos
bizarre
of
to see
all
Thanos
people.
to just be like cooking. It was just such a like
Yeah.
like,
It's like what?
weirdly like almost like humanizing kind of scene of just like, oh, he's just like a farmer, like it's so
Like
weird.
Like he lives.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
just like farming, and doing his thing, which is just
like
fascinating.
as if nothing happened.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. I was when they opened with the first 10 minutes, I was like, this is all trailers, and I can't.
Yeah.
I was just that's all I was thinking. I was like, I can't believe they only showed us the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was
I
genius.
said, wow.
Yeah,
And then when they got to that scene, I was just like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Like I like that they saved Tony right away, beginning of the movie. Got
Yeah.
that done and over with.
yeah. And they didn't
Don't
waste
even
any
think of it
time or
twice.
anything like that. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
really good, well done. And I was very, very surprised by the Nebula twist. That was really cool. And
Yeah, I
in
love
general, I think Nebula like was one of the standouts of this movie. Like Karen Gillan,
Surprisingly,
Karen
like I
Gillan
was.
did so good. Like she was just like
Yeah.
she was such an important character. Like she played such a crucial role in so many of the different moments. Like so.
Oh yeah.
I was very surprised by that. The one other thing that I wanted to mention, like the last one for me, then if you want to add something,
Sure.
I was shocked by the length of this movie. Like going into it, I have no problem watching a 3 hour Marvel movie, but I thought I was like, this is gonna be rough. Like, there's for sure gonna be moments where people are gonna be like, oh, okay, this is getting a little like pick
Yeah,
up the
I
pace.
didn't have that.
But dude, I did not have that at all. This
Yeah,
felt
I
like
didn't
it
have
was
that
like
at
an
all
hour
either.
and a half movie.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say it didn't feel like three
The
hours.
pacing was insanely well done. It
Yep.
never ever like I know some people I've heard like some people complain about like one of my friends who I watched with he said that he felt like the beginning was a little slow, but I'm like you kind of need to do that in my opinion after Infinity
Yeah.
War. Like you can't
Oh
just
yeah.
throw it right into more
Well,
action.
Endgame picks up right, like there's no like time gap in between the movies. It's like it
Yeah.
picks up right after.
Yeah, so to me, I'm almost like that's what I want. Like I want to see a little bit of exposition to like tell me what's going on with everybody. You know, like what
Yeah,
happened.
like I wanted to see that. I want what's happening to their lives.
I,
What are their lives look?
yes, like I love that time skip with the 5 years
Mm-hmm.
because then it's like okay,
Yep.
now these people have lived with 5 years of this. Like they've
Yeah.
taken out Thanos and they now in by all means necessary there is no solution. Like the solution that
Yeah.
they thought of is no longer existent.
Yeah.
So
And then they
what
didn't
the
think about
hell?
time travel
Yeah, you know,
because he wasn't out of the thing yet, the
yeah,
quantum realm yet.
yeah. So it was not. It didn't even seem like a real concept, right? So it's like,
Well, they all had all moved on,
yeah,
right? Like you
yeah.
saw
It was
like
just so,
Hawkeye
yeah,
like just brutally just destroying everybody.
yeah.
And then you saw Thor, he got fat. Like I love that they just kind of went. They were
Everything.
just like, this is
Hulk,
what happened to these
Hulk,
guys.
like
Hulk, yeah,
becoming basically a celebrity and like a
yeah,
professor. The fact that you got Captain America running like pretty much like almost like certain things you'd see from like PTSD and things like that, you know, where he's running these like classes to help people get over what has happened and like
yeah.
but then at the same time he himself has not gotten over it at all. The fact that Black Widow takes up the mantle of being the leader of basically the whatever's left of the Avengers, right? And the fact that she's sending
Hmm.
everybody out on missions and like controlling all this like that was really cool, right? Because it's like it just adds this layers of story. The fact that Nebula and Rocket Raccoon bond during that period because they're off on these
Hmm.
different missions. You got Rhodey becoming, for the most part, basically fulfilling the role of Iron Man around the
Of Iron
planet.
Man,
You
yeah.
know, it was just really, really, really well done. And to me, it didn't feel slow because it's almost like it felt like that's what I needed after Infinity War. I wanted that like gap before we dove into the insanity of that last action sequence.
Oh, dude, that last action sequence. I
So
just words cannot describe that. It's just too good, too
last thing
beautiful.
before we wrap up, a couple of rapid fire questions for you. Okay.
All
So
right.
better or worse than Infinity War, or do you need to see it again? Better. Okay.
I'm gonna be watching it three times. It's better for sure.
Yes. Okay.
Like I'm not willingly sitting through 3 hours another two times.
That's true.
If I
Good
didn't
point.
like the movie.
Good point. Um, do you favorite sequence of the movie? Like favorite thing about the movie?
The twists and turns. Just every time I think I know where the movie's going, it just does a 180 and goes a complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
would
I love
agree.
it.
I would
It
agree.
kept me on my toes every minute of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I also felt like it was what was great about this movie is that it was smart but not convoluted. A lot of movies that are
Yep.
really clever, they're almost like too clever
Get
for their own
complicated.
good to where
Yep.
you start thinking about it and you're like, this just like there's just certain things that
It's like, why am I even thinking about
Yeah.
this? Like it's like that time traveling in Cap with us.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yes,
Like, let's
exactly.
just mulligan, whatever. Who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah. But for the most part, outside of that, there's nothing
Yeah.
else where I could have felt like that. Because there was no other moments where I was like, wait, how does that? What you
Well,
know?
they left all the explaining in the other movies. This was purely
Yes, that's true.
This is everything. This is the encompassment of everything that's been into one movie.
Yes.
Moving to the future. That's what this felt like. There was no need to set anything up. Everything was already set up. It was almost just like reacting to everything that was
Yes,
set up.
they almost just needed to like it's like they've been setting up dominoes, like you know those really epic
Yeah.
videos where they knock a domino and then like all these different like and then there's a beautiful shape that comes out of it.
Yeah,
It's like that's all they needed to do. Just knock the
Exactly.
domino, don't mess with anything else, just knock the domino and just see how it falls. And
Exactly. And watch the
last
painting.
question, going into the rest of the MCU, because I'm sure they're still going to consider it the MCU. So, from what we know right now, what is like coming or rumored to come, what is the thing you're most looking forward to next?
Spider-Man. That's definitely my next favorite movie. I'm excited to see what they do. I would really love to see maybe Ant-Man having his daughter a little more involved,
Yeah.
because I would assume that she's probably relatively the same age as at this point as Peter Parker. So I would like to see maybe like a
Oh, you
junior
want
league almost,
her?
like a
Oh,
next
okay, like a
generation.
Young Avengers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that could be
Like I would
cool.
love to see a
They
next because as much as I love like all of the characters that we have
and they could
now,
have Kate.
we know what kind of, badasses they are.
Yeah,
Pardon my French.
yeah, yeah.
Like I want to see some like kids learning. I want to see the next generation. Like I want to see how are
Iron
they
Man's
going to try to
daughter.
teach.
Iron Man's daughter.
Oh yeah, yeah, Iron Man's daughter maybe. Like I want to see how are the older generations going to teach the newer generations,
So
especially
you
after
basically
Thanos.
want Young Justice as a movie.
Yeah, basically. I
Okay,
mean, with
got
with
it.
the
That's
Russo's
fair.
brothers behind it,
Yeah,
100%.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, for me, I would say that honestly, after what happened in this movie, I want to see that Black Widow movie. I want to go back and like learn more about her.
Yeah, me
I
too.
thought like her acting in that scene with the Clint, Jeremy Renner, like
The
when
fighting?
she, yeah, well, no, just
Hmm.
her acting, like the way she did
Oh
such a
yeah,
good
yeah.
job there. Where and even before that, like throughout the entire movie, I felt like here, as well as I remember in Civil War, like she really stood out to me as a character in those movies, respectively, because. I don't know. It's just like I feel like even in this movie, when she says like I don't know anything, like she's almost like the ultimate one to not give up on this whole cause of like turning it all around. Like when she comes back to Clint and she says to him, "I'm sorry that I couldn't bring hope earlier." Or when she sacrifices herself and she says, "Please let me go," and she like pushes off. When Captain America comes to visit her and she's making that sandwich, and during that point she says like, "This is my family." Like she does not have a Peggy Carter, she does not have something or someone else. Like all she knows is this, like this is her only comfort in her life, because everything else was misery.
Yeah.
And because of that, I would love to see Scarlett Johansson take up the mantle and finally get her own movie, because I think that
Yeah, I think
more
it's
than
long overdue.
anybody else coming out of this, she deserves her own standalone movie. Like out of the people that don't have one, I think that it's a no-brainer, and I really am looking forward to seeing what they do with that movie, because I think she did really, really well with this character, and it's clear that she like gets the character. Like the same way that we saw with Thor pivot into this like if you look at Thor 1 versus this Thor, it's such a crazy character arc, like how much he's gone through,
Yeah.
and I just think that the same way that Chris Hemsworth got Thor, and the same way that Chris Evans understands Captain America, and the same way that Tony gets Iron Man.
Tony? Tony?
Oh, sorry. You see, this is
Robert
what
Downey
happens.
Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Do you see, guys? This is why I'm so glad they didn't try to replace him. Because with Sam Wilson, I can buy it. It's like, okay, new Captain America, I can deal with it. There's no other Iron Man. I will
No,
never,
there's
ever,
no
ever,
other man.
ever
No
accept
one.
another Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr. is the one and only.
He is Iron Man, as he said. I am Iron Man. He sure is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the review. We talked and talked and talked, and we could probably talk even longer, because good googly moogly is this movie an absolute masterpiece. If you're a fan of the Marvel Universe, this movie's made for you. This movie's made for us, because there's just so much here. If you love the cinematic universe, if you love the comic books, there's going to be a ton of stuff here, whether it be like little previews of finding out like the fact that Casey Lang, yes, she will also at some point become a wasp. Like that's hopefully going to happen. The fact that Hawkeye's daughter, she's going to be Hawkeye, and we almost get the preview when he calls her Hawkeye.
Hmm.
The teases of Tony's daughter finding the helmet and trying it on already. It's like there's certain things that are already kind of like setting up towards what might be next and teases that we know from the comic books now playing out here. And just for that alone, it's an absolute must-see movie, an absolute blast, an incredible pace that does not feel like 3 hours, an absolutely amazing score again. The sound in this is terrific. The design is terrific. All the going back and forth, like I brought up the cheeseburger point, or the fact that when Spidey dies, right, or like gets dusted, he goes, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good, blah, 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 blah. And then now they did the flip side here where when Tony dies, it's Spider-Man going to him and going like, basically like, hey, you did good, don't worry, which was what like Tony told to Spidey. Remember? It's like when he says to him, like, you did
Mm-hmm.
good, kid, you did good. So it's
Yeah.
like all of those little moments, they paid attention to all of them and they rewarded others who paid attention to them. They kind of like tipped the cap and said like, yeah, we noticed as well. We paid attention. We didn't just, make movies. We made a world.
We see the audience, we see the reactions,
Yes,
and we want more of that. Is kind of the mindset they had.
absolutely. Ladies and gents, thank you so very much for listening to us. We hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget, this is the spoiler review. Obviously, if at this point you're like, wait, bro, what the hell, man? You spoiled the whole movie. My bad. But at this point, if you go into the comments, you're obviously going to see a bunch of spoilers as well. So if you guys are interested in discussing the movie, please do so in the comment section below. We hope you guys enjoyed. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and we'll see you all later, alligators. Bye-bye, everyone.